Alright, so come closer. We are building our first AI agents today, and interestingly, we are going to be doing that on Make.com. Make.com is a no-code platform where you can use to build automations, AI-powered automations, and AI agents as well. And how we normally do this, I started the 60-day series where I break down the 5 layers of AI, right from prompt engineering, AI automation, tools, MCPs, APIs, universal connectors, and we are on AI agents now. Right after AI agents is going to be our 5th layer. So we're on the 4th layer currently, and this is day 43. So why did I decide to put all this out there? Because I realized that a bunch of videos, a bunch of knowledge that we see out there is just for content. Most of these things are not breaking down what this, and most of the time is just hype. So I decided to put down this 60 days series where you can get to understand everything from ground level, even if you're a beginner. So far you have your phone with you and you have your PC. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to work on this as well. So we're building our first AI automation here, and as usual, you know what I do is I put together every single thing in a resource file here, so you can access this anytime. And interestingly, this is also for myself, because I got to understand that I take a bunch of talking about other things, and I often divert to something crazier. So I decided to use this so that we can address just what is meant for today. So let's get right in. So the first thing we are going to have to do is you need to check this resource page, because I've put every single thing here together and I'm making it shorter now, unlike the long one we get. And yeah, so I'm going straight to the point. What we have here now, by building our first AI agent, remember what an AI agent does is it gets to think for you rather than you having to run your regular scenarios that you see often. So right on Make.com now, you can see our regular scenarios that we have been building all this while. And remember, you've been building this for yourself, not just for others. So we've been building our daily warm lead follow-up reminder, our digital receptionist. This was the first one and probably one of the most important one. Everything is important actually. We built some fake leads. We actually did a bunch of things, interesting projects that I believe that covers the core aspects, if not even almost all the aspects you need to know about AI automations, including the prompt engineering layers and APIs. We interacted with a bunch of things. Now we're going to be interacting with MCPs alongside, we'll still be interacting with APIs. Every single thing right from the bottom layer, we'll still be interacting with it on AI agents. Remember, even to prompt engineering, we're going to be interacting with it every single time. So no knowledge is lost on each layer. Every single thing is very important for the next layer coming up. So what we have here now, rather than building the regular scenarios we have here, we're going to be doing this one differently. We're going to be building right on our AI agents here. I should probably delete this because this was what we did. This is what we opened the other day. So let's just start from scratch. So you could use templates. Interestingly, I have not addressed that. I just saw that. You could use templates on Make.com or any other platform that you want to build on. They actually pre-made templates that makes things easy for you. But if you are quite familiar, if you've gotten to this stage in Make.com, you have gotten to day 43, I believe that most of this should be easy for you to walk across. So it shouldn't give you much stress. Anyway, so what we have here is our AI agent, right? Make AI agent. So I'm going to let us follow this so I don't go too far. So what we are building today is a lead qualifier agent. Yes, we are building the same thing we built, but this time around we are adding an AI agent to it rather than just building an automation. So remember, every single thing you've been building, we have a new upgrade. Yes, we are building something that can think for you. Rather than you having to make multiple connections across several scenarios, we can start building everything and have an AI agent manage every single thing for us. So it's going to read incoming leads. It's going to decide if it's hot, warm, and cold as usual with a one-line reason. And it's going to save this result to a sheet. So I remember we haven't interacted with Google Sheets, right? Because I told you I love using Notion. I've been using Notion for 4 years now, and I prefer using Notion for most of my builds. But we're going to touch Google Sheets today. I intentionally added this to it. And as per using an AI agent, we're going to add a goal. We're going to add a tool as well, and it's going to work out the thinking for us. It's going to rate it by itself. And this is just the difference between a normal scenario and an AI agent. It thinks for us rather than we having to pre-make all the process it has to go through. So this is what we're going to undo first. We're going to create 2 Google Sheets. The first one is going to be for incoming leads. We're going to add this. And the next one is also going to be for qualified leads as well. So let's go on and do this. Let's go to Google Sheets. Alright, so we have lead intake system. We already have some things on Google Sheets, but I believe this could, let's just go from here. Alright, so we have, it's been a while I used this particular account. Anyway, let me minimize this. Alright, so we are fully here. Let's create a blank sheet. Remember, just follow every single step here. We could actually use AI, but rather than taking the short way out, I'm pretty sure a couple of people are not familiar with Google Sheets as of yet. So we build this together then. What we're meant to build now, we are going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns there. So the first one is, that's name, email, company, message, budget. That's the first one is our name, email. Okay, I believe I forgot just now. Company, message, budget. All right, company. Okay, message and budget. God, what the hell? And budget. Yeah, so we have 5 columns. These are columns, these are rows. It actually gets, there are times I actually forget which one is rows and columns. It happens a lot. So anyway, but these are columns and these are rows. So now what you are going to do is you can add as much as you want to. I'm going to try with 3 leads now. And what you are meant to do is, like I said here, add 2 or 3 fake rows. Make one obviously strong, one obviously weak, so that you can see the agent tell them apart. What I mean here is that what we have on Google Sheets here is going to be a bit new to you, and that is the fact that we are already having our lead in our database. This is our database, right? We're having our lead already here. So that means we don't need to be getting it from a form. We can also have a form. There is also a way where you can have Google, that's Google Forms. Anything you get from Google Forms, you could convert it immediately into Google Sheets, immediately. And if you don't know how to work around that, just let's use this as example. Open this. Okay, that's a bad connection. Let's see what we can do. All right, that was weird. It's probably because of the rain. And yes, so we're in now, and you could just right from, I guess we're receiving most of this slowly. All right, so So you can see that right when from the response here, you can link to sheet directly. So what this means is that you don't need to have an automation to get your leads from here into here. You don't need to go through all that. So you can see we have something even similar here that we could have just done. So it's just as simple as linking to sheet, and you have automatically created something that every single lead response that we have here, we just get filled in that place instead. So I would say we should use some of the emails we find here. Okay, I might as well just use my email for everything because I don't want to destroy that. So we have our name, right? Jude. Let me use my email here. Okay, let's use NirvanaXJude at gmail.com. Alright, so we have our company and NirvanaXJude. Alright, so let's see our message. I need to get okay, so I need to explain what this is all about now. Now you need to look through here. This is what we're going to be following. You need to qualify the incoming sales leads for a lead generation agency. So I'm considering myself as a lead generation agency now. That means my agent needs to also position itself that way, which also means whichever lead I'm getting needs to also be looking for leads, right? Whichever prospective client I'm going to be having here needs to be people that are business owners and want leads. So we're going to create a very strong one, we're going to create a weak one, and we're going to probably let's create one that is right in the middle, right? So the hot, the cold, the warm, and the cold rather. So, and it's going to rate it. So what we're going to do, I need my business has been stuck with just 4 clients for in the past, let's say 5 months. I need a lead generation system to get more earnings. All right, so we have that, and for the budget, okay, we have this is actually very strong, so let's do this. All right, so we're going to make this like this. Okay, I mean, I could just I thought there was well, all right, so we're going to be using a budget now, and we're going to be saying this should be about, let's say, 5,000. All right, so we have a first one, right? So I'm going to pause this and I'm going to make this faster for us. All right, so you see we've built this now, and well, it looks quite nice. So we have Nirvana, Victor, and Jude. I changed the first one from Jude to Nirvana, so let's just have it Nirvana all through. We have Jude and Sons as well. And yeah, so let us go in. Let's save this. That is 3 leads intake. Okay, so we have this in now. All right, so what we're going to do next now, I want you to just follow in steps all this, and yes, we have the second one to create as well. So let's do that real quick. Let's just have to duplicate this, and so what we're going to do here, we're going to call it as the qualified leads. We should have made this incoming leads. Let me change that then. Incoming leads. All right, so we're going to be calling this qualified leads instead. Qualified leads. All right, so we're going to leave this blank, because this is what we're going to be getting in to the agent. Then the agent is going to be the one to do all this by itself. So, well, we're going to add the name, email, rating, and the reason though. So we have to add this, but we're going to leave it blank. Unlike this one, which we are filling it with leads, this is where our leads are coming from, and this is where we're going to qualify them and have them stay here, that these are the ones we're going to be working with. So we're going to be using that as name, as our email, rating, and reason. That means what we have here is the name. So we have the name and we have the email. That's the email of the lead, and we have the ratings. This is the rating that the AI agent is going to give this particular lead, and we're also going to be having the reason as well. Why did they decide to rate it that way? So we're going to be having a lot of these things together. So you can see that this is how you interact with your Google Sheets. Very simple. It's like a crude version of Notion, and I'm pretty sure probably in tomorrow's class we're going to be using Notion instead, but this is just to show you guys that there are other platforms out there, so you guys don't limit yourself to just using Notion every single time. Because I said you should use Notion, you can use anything. Airtable is there, ClickUp is there. There are several CRMs that are there as well, so you could pick one rather than Notion. You could try to understand how this platform works, and most of these platforms, to be honest, are very easy. They don't take much time. You just probably need to watch a 20-minute video on YouTube to understand how each of them work. Right? So we have this in place, and the next thing we're going to be doing now is to be creating our scenarios and every single thing on make.com. So we have all this in place now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a module. Remember, this is not just from the general scenarios page. This is from the AI agent. So click on AI agents, then you click on create agents, then you start setting all this up together. So you can make this connection, and let us look for Google Sheets. So I have a Google Sheets. It's going to be saying so what I need you to check is, I want you to always check that's watch new rows, and I included it here, watch new rows. So I want you to use that instead. What this is doing, this is going to check your rows every single time for if there's any lead that has been added and if it has been processed as well. So there are several, if you are familiar with make.com, or if this is your first time, you know that there are several ways that you can get across this. But one thing I want you to do, you can actually just use this instead. So if we're using this, it's not going to be receiving instantly because it's not like a webhook, if you do remember. So this will have to be watching rows probably every single 15 minutes before it can walk across this. There's a way we can do this to make it better now, because I discovered that Google Sheets now has this. When you see instant, you should know that yes, this is like a webhook, right? So you can when you choose this, you see how this changes. This is a webhook. So they have made this better. But for now, let us stick with this. We'll be leaving this for our later builds, right? So let's save this. Okay, let's just save for now. And then we'll make our connection. I already made some connection here, but I want you to do it all over again. So if you want to make your connection, you just have to click on add, and it's going to give you an OAuth. Just sign into Google directly, and this is not actually hard if you are familiar with using make.com already. So once you are done, you'll be able to make your connection to your account. You can see mine is connected to jude@gmail.com, right? So you can search by path, search by drive. So I can just my drive. So everything is generally there. And we're going to choose a spreadsheet ID. So I'm going to be using the one from the one I just created just now. And that should be incoming leads, because that's where we are getting our leads from, right? So that's incoming leads, and sheet name, obviously one. That's the only sheet name that we have here. So we're using sheet name 1, and table contains header. When you see this, you click yes. Why? Is because we already included name, email, company, message. This is not an input that we're getting from our lead. This is the header. We have to save it this way. Unlike Notion, when we're using Notion, you do remember there's a place we can save our property name, property name, property email, things like that. But here you have to do it this way. So yes, you click yes, the continue header. So rows with headers, that's yes, every single thing, just leave it that way. So here's the limit of how much it can process at once. If you do remember, that means per each run that it takes every 15 minutes, right? That means each time it will only be able to load that's 2. That means it will only be able to see 1 and 2, and we don't want that. So you can make it as large as possible depending on the business, the amount of leads they get, right? So the amount of leads you get since it's your business, right? So this is my own business, and I can assume I should be having about 10 leads every single day. So that's the limit. That means within this 10, 3 is very easy to process at once. So you can have this and you save it. Once you save it, it's going to ask you, where do you want to start? You're going to start from all, and you save it, meaning anything from the past and anything to the current state. Anything from the past, the current state, and the future. That's the all. If you had picked specific dates, you might be able to pick, maybe let's assume that the leads they want to start processing from the ones that just started coming in this morning. You would have picked specific dates instead. So we have this in place now, and the next thing we're going to create, just follow this. You can see the add the agent. We already have the agents, so that's a plus on the right trigger. You don't need to go through all that anymore. So you give it a brain. What we're going to do now is, when you see your make AI agents, I've gone through this in probably the previous class and the ones before it, that you can add any AI API key that you do have. So I've added my Gemini and also Grok to it. I had to take the API keys, and how to take these API keys. Obviously for Grok, let me choose a console. Okay, let's use console Grok. You can see I have for Cloud, I have for this, I have for Google, even from Google Cloud as well. So let's use for Grok. You can just Grok is free, so that's why I'm recommending that to you. However, you can also do it this way. If you don't want to go through all that, this is going to cost you credits. That's make.com's credit itself. You can add and pick from Make's AI provider. That means make.com's AI itself is going to be the one taking charge of this. And you should know, I personally still have a lot of credits, right? So I can run this. But in your case, I would not advise you do this if you don't have enough credits. So what I mean now here is that if you don't have enough credits, and if you have enough credits or your client has enough credits on their Make account, you can use this. That is going to spare you from having to pay for API key, but you can just go for Grok at any time because it's free and it should be enough for whatever you want to do. So, but in this case, I'm going to use Make AI provider, right? So let's just leave it this way. So we have this in place, and yes. So it's also going to recommend anyone. You could use anyone. This is from make.com itself, so we could use anyone to process whatever we want. Wow, we can do having access Claude Fable now. Fable 5 is dope. That should exhaust a lot of include system prompt for 2 use, blah blah blah. Let's just try that. I want to see how much it's going to take from Fable. I hope it doesn't take my entire over 200 credits. So now the instruction. This instruction is basically like the brain of the AI agent. What is it meant to know? What is it meant to have in place? This is basically your system instruction, is what you have your AI trained on. So what we have here, I've prepared this for you guys. This is the instruction you should use. Just copy this and go to your AI and paste it in. This is good. That's all you need to have. So yes, so now here is the inputs. This is what is going to be coming from the previous module. So whatever the message is, whatever it is, this is where you just fill it all inside. So in this case, we're going to be filling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? I want you to see every single thing here. You can see in input, layout, delete, every single thing here. You can see our name, blah blah blah, this. And to make it better, let's have to delete everything here and just say name, and we're going to be choosing our name, right? Okay, let's just click on this and name. Then you could go for what's next as email, and we pick this and we say email. Next we go for company, and we pick this and we pick company, right? So the next as well, we go for message, and we pick this and we go for this as well. And lastly, we go for budgets, we pick this and we go for budgets. So this is better now, and we don't need a conversation ID and we don't need an input file. Why? Is because we are building something very small now. What we are building does not require us getting a file. If we use a Google form that add, let me say, that add like a question directly here, and in that question you want it to get a file from someone, right? There's a file upload, this for example. So if you wanted to get a file from someone where someone is able to probably upload like an image, a PDF, a document, anything, whatsoever it is, and to get that you want to pass it through here, that is where you can use input file. So in that case, you are going to be getting the file name and the file data, because anyone that sends this is going to be saved in your own drive. So meaning you should be able to map it somewhere here. It's going to also show, so you'll be able to map it in, and the AI will also be able to process it. So you can see that this is going to save you a lot. For the conversation ID, this is a case where, for example, if I was using Telegram, which we are going to use also in our coming builds, because we are going to build some interesting projects as well. If we use Telegram and we want to track our conversation, we want the AI to be able to read through every single thing that we've talked about. So it's going to, obviously, like an intelligent AI, something that is going to read through everything, your own previous inputs and its own previous output as well, and combine everything, and it's going to respond to you with the intelligence of having the knowledge of the past messages. This is where you get to use conversation ID. But in this case, there's nothing, we're not having a conversation here, so you can also skip it. All these things are things we're going to be touching in the future. So we save this and have this saved once again. So this is, yes, it's currently empty. So the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to be adding the to. This time around, I'm not going to be giving it an output and tell it, well, let's go here directly. No, I want to add a to instead. It still works. If you have done this, it can still work. That's the thing. But I'm going to show you why you don't actually need to put it here, because it just needs to call a to and save it. It's more or less the same thing. However, I will tell you to anything you want to process, anything you want your AI to make decisions on, just make it a to instead. Whatever is coming here should be a response it should always give you. An example, if I wanted it to respond back to me that, okay, just tell me if you've processed everything, I can tell it to just message me on Telegram, meaning I want it to tell me that I've processed the entire lead. That's where I give it my Telegram ID and I tell it, I will probably pass the response here. That will be the response. Tell it, hey, I've done this for you, and you can check it. You get what I'm saying now. But we're not going to be doing that here as well, because we want to make this as fast as possible. So we're going to be adding a to, and that to, we're going to be giving it access to. I have it right here. So what you're going to be giving it access to is your qualified leads. That's what we have right here. That's what we have right here. It's going to be the one to input everything for us instead of us having to start mapping and putting it one by one like we normally do. So that's what we're going to be doing instead. So we're going to add to and add to row, because what you are basically doing here is you are adding to row. So add a row, and we've made a connection already. So this is the to description. Remember I told you what the to description is. So this is where we're going to have to choose the to description. The name is log lead, and here is the very precise to description, something that tells it exactly what the to is meant for. And this is the name, right? So we're going to call this log lead, log_lead, and log leads. So this is the description, and we could just remove this. So we're telling it, use this to save a qualified lead. Call it once you've decided the rating. It records the name, email, rating, and the reason. You can see as simple as that. So we've made a connection already. Since you've made a connection in the previous one, it's already done here. And we're going to look for the spreadsheet itself. So we're going to be looking for qualified leads here, and that should be okay down there then. And leads. So we have it here, and this is where we pick the spreadsheet name. Yes, it has one. Yes, let agent decide, let agent decide, let it decide, let it decide, and every single one of them here should just be empty. You can leave it, but remember, I always tell you it's best you just it's best you cover every single one of them up, because you don't want it to be there's something I call, it's like an invincible input, like an invincible data that comes in, and it sometimes disrupts whatever you're working on. I don't know if this, I've not really noticed, probably this only pops up on make.com, but I've noticed that sometimes it disturbs whatever I'm working on. Not often though. Out of probably 100 automations, it's probably I've just disturbed 1 or 2. So, but I don't like, taking chances like that. So unformatted, let AI decide, doesn't matter, whichever one. Since we're giving our AI full access to this, let it just decide whatever we're working on here. So we have this saved. So you can see what happens now. We have a 2. Let's have this go. We don't need you, guy. So yeah, we have this now. You could add more tools, but for this, we just need something as simple as this. So we can have this saved. And now, the interesting thing around all this is that while we've worked around all this, we've set everything together, we have our AI agent already. Rather than testing it as we normally do, where we run once and we start exhausting our credits, remember, you might be using a free make.com plan now. So to avoid having to always try it, you test your agent to see if it's working and it's going to exhaust something that is pretty large, I want you to just you do everything in chat. Chat is the easiest way where you can send inputs and receive an output easily. So what you are doing is you are basically talking to your agent. That is what you are doing. You are basically talking to your agent. You can just talk to your agent and tell it, okay, let's just go along with whatever I have planned here. So you can test in chat. That's what I just explained just now. When you over on plus on the chat, you can chat with your agent, paste a lead, and you are going to watch it reason. So whatever I put in here in the first place, you are just filling it up to let it have a few leads. You can also copy the same thing or copy something else and fill it inside. So what we are doing here is we're trying to avoid wasting as much credit. I'm trying to avoid you wasting as much credit if you're on make.com's free plan. You can test your agent unlimitedly here. So what I mean is unlimited times you can test your agent here, and you can have it do every single thing without touching a single line of credit. So, and you are going to read the reason. We're going to see what's up, what it's going to say, and yes, as simple as that. So every other thing I included here are things I've already said during the video, like the make.com's AI provider, the instruction, which is the role, the ratings and everything. We've already given it our instruction in details. The inputs, that's what we have coming as the trigger, right? So the conversation ID as well. That is at the memory across runs, but in this case you can leave it blank. We don't need any memory here. And the step timeout, default is 300 seconds, and what we have here is a response format, which is going to give us in text or in data structure. All these things are just everything have been pre-made here, so you don't need to you don't need to go too far on this. You can see every single thing here. So it's if you want to use the advanced setting is where you can do this. And what this step timeout, since I did not explain the other time, does is that is basically set a limit for each step the agent is going to take. So in this case, the default is as 300 seconds. So what this means is that if within this particular time this agent is not able to give you an answer, it's going to stop. It's going to fail at that moment, because probably there's something wrong. There's probably something wrong with your scenario, or there's something wrong with the coming from the API key. It could be anything, right? So that's why we're giving it a step timeout, which is not on a default. If I just leave it like this, it's probably just what, 300. So now the response formats that I did not tell you about is, do you want to receive it in text or in data structure? Whichever one you want to use it in depends on whatever case you're having. What in this case now, we want it as a text. So that's what we have here as text, because we want to what, test every single thing here. So let's save once again. Remember, we are using our agent because we want to save credits. On a normal case, we are meant to just run it right from here. So let's do this. I have my leads. Let's see my lead. I have my leads. My God, why am I making this mistake? I have my leads, and their name, that's Nirvana. You could use anything. Let me use AY and Ayo, and I should be using that's email now. Let's just use Jude. The thing is, I don't know about you guys, so wherever you're watching from here you could be having a bunch of names. So this is one of my names as well, though I am not completing it. Probably be adding this to it. Yes, so this is one of my names as well. It's a Yoruba name, and yep. So what we have next is company. Let's just call it Ayo Enterprise. I don't know if something like this exists already. Enterprise. Then the next thing we're going to be calling, let's see. Okay, budget. Budget should be, let's see, 1,000. And the last one is the reason. That is that's what we have here, a message. So let me just use this. Okay, so let's use message. All right, so we have this and chat with agents. So it's running this now, and you can see the agent is thinking, and it's taking, that's 4 seconds, 5 seconds. Remember, if this agent exceed more than 300 seconds, it's going to fail automatically. So you can see that our agent was able to what, string through everything, and what, it logged it in, and it told us, it gave us a response. What happened just now that you're seeing was that it thought through every single thing that we put here. It first saved it in because it already made its decision, and then it told us to do this. Now this is not, it's asking us, should I log this in? It's not asking us because we did not request it to ask us first. And why we have an AI agent in the first place is so that we don't have to stress ourselves, right? So that is why we have it, it logged it first. It is more like an I agency person, someone that knows I have to do this, let me just settle it and I report. You get, it has done the work, it has given you the results, and now it's coming to show you the entire outcome. So that's what we have here. That's name, email, ratings, and reason. Now you can see that it did not even matter if what I was getting from here, our budget is before the message. That's because it's a chat option. So you can imagine if you're on Telegram now, and you're probably, there was a time I remember I was going with my sister, we're doing that, we're going from business to business. We're actually looking for someone to work with us. We help the person build a website and that kind of stuff. If I had this back then, I could, just collect their email, collect all their details, and right from my phone, I can drop every single thing, and my agents will just fill this in for me. So, but back then, there was no AI. ChatGPT was not out then. So we had to do most of these things without an AI thinking for us. So anyway, so what we have here now is our summary, and this is basically the response it should have given us if I had my Telegram there in the first place. This is the response it would have given you. So you can see we built our first AI agents and we're able to get every single thing. And we tested this without using a single line of credit. However, let's check this. Let's just go through every single thing. And okay, agent response, every single thing is good. Their output, I want to see the reasoning. Okay, model configuration, we're using Claude Fable 5. I want to see reasoning effort is low. I mean, all this, and you are giving Claude Fable 5 to think for you. That is a waste. That is a waste. Operations, you can see 77 credits rather than just one, right? I mean, what we used to do is we're going to use 1 or 2. So in the case if we had used Grok, for example, it would have given us something different. Let's try to do this again. So I wasted 77 credits on something that I could have taken like that's very wasteful. Let's use Grok. I hope my API key is still connected. Let's use instance and let's save this. So let's see what's up this time around. Let's see. Okay, so I've not shown you the output from the previous one. Let me just show you. You can see it's here. Everything have been logged in. And okay, I will probably talk about that in the future. If you want your AI to sound human, more human, though we've talked about this in the past in our prompt engineering layer, but remember, if you want to remove this, it's very easy. It's one of the things you would have informed your AI about, one of the knowledge. We're going to be doing this probably from tomorrow's class, so it's going to be easier by that time. So yeah, everything is set in place and you can start building your AI agent on make.com. I mean, this is fun, right? So we want to connect the dots now. I want you to reason through all of the things we just did. We used the prompting. That was what we had here. If we had not prompted it to be very clear on what we wanted, it wouldn't have given us as good as the response it gave us, right? Then we also use make.com, which is the AI automation tool that we're using, and we've been building on it for the past couple of days, right? For over a month now, about a month now, we've been building on this. So, and you can see the loop also that we're adding in place. So this loop is where it reasons and where it makes the decision. Now, if it has not gotten the output, the results that it has gotten here, it's going to go back in and try to see if there's anything it could do. But if it failed at the end of the day without getting any new input or any changes, it's going to give us a response saying it was unable to get the outcome, it was unable to log it in. So if everything was incorrect, that's what it will have said. Let me have this in. Let's do something real quick. Let's just break this a bit, right? So we're going to say, yo, what's up? All right, so we're going to send this in. Now see what happens. It's thinking and it said, yo, what's up? Now the issue around this is that we gave it lead as well. It's assumed that whatever we have here is coming from this, and we've not set things in place. We only told it anything else is just code. But there's a way that we could have done this better, that rather than code, it's just it cuts everything off for us. Remember, there are several ways. You could have used a filter. If we had a filter here, we're using a chat option directly from here. But there are numerous ways we could have avoided something like this to waste the entire thinking process. That's APIs in this case. And so having it to use every single call that I did here, it's like a waste. So one of the best ways is using a filter, and there are several other things that I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to cover right from tomorrow. So I hope this was fun. Tomorrow we're going to be building something more interesting, and we're going to be using the familiar services we've been using all this while, basically running every single thing from scratch over again. So yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. So you can access this resource here, and yeah, day 44 is going to be our second and third tool, that's Notion and Gmail, where it's going to, our agent is going to be, helping us send emails for us and going to be logging into our database right in Notion. So in this place, we're going to be watching the data perform live. And yeah, that is it, guys. So if there's any question, if you have any question, if there's anything you didn't understand there, just tell me and I'll just break every single thing down for you. So all right.